guys, I wanted to come in here live. I know it's a little bit early, especially for the Pacific Coast people, but this will still be recorded and you guys will be able to get all of this information. So whether you are hopping on live or you're listening to the recording later, I seriously appreciate your time. I'm not going to be on here forever, but I do want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. Miss Shannon is a dear friend of mine. She's also a coach on my team, and we just got to spend last weekend together. So this time last week we were, just slowly waking up in our cottage of girl bosses, and we had a great time, honestly. And I got to know Shannon, like, seriously amazing human being. And it's crazy how that, like, getting into this business, which I never thought would be a full-fledged business, to be honest, and that's probably what a lot of you guys are thinking, is like, is this going to be a thing? Like, is this a real thing that can provide for my family? And that was a huge question that I had, and it has blossomed into not only a business and not only something that has kind of, fulfilled my income and fulfilled my husband's income, but also something that I've met some of my best friends, and I consider Shannon one of my best friends. And it's really crazy to think that, because often in the world that we're brought up in, you think that your best friends are going to be like your next door neighbor and the people that you work with at your office and all that type of stuff. But this opportunity has really allowed me to be able to, pick from all over North America, and soon to be the UK, which is kind of cool, all over North America. So you're not limited to the people that you might be around now that kind of drain you or just don't, fit into your world, that you might feel a little bit weird. And that's how I felt so weird before I became a coach. I felt like I was so alone, and I felt like I was the only person that knew what a dream board was and that set goals and that wanted a bigger life. I wanted more, and I knew that there would be more out there, but people thought that I was a little bit crazy. And it's kind of cool that I have met such go-getters through, building this business, and people that I can run with and grow with, which I love. So me 4 years ago was not this person, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about, because the day that I signed up was, so a couple days ago, May 31st was my 4-year, I can't believe it's been 4 years, honestly, my 4-year coach anniversary. It's been 4 years since I've been a coach, and I remember that day that I signed up, and I remember thinking, like, yes, I want a workout program. So the investment for me was not, like, I wanted to get a challenge pack. So to me, it was not that big of a deal. I figured, worst case scenario, I'm going to, get myself the workout program that I wanted, and I wanted to try Shakeology. So I ended up starting out with, I think it was Chalene Extreme or Body Beast. It was a weightlifting program because I needed to put on some muscle, and I wanted to try Shakeology. So that was cool. But what I want you guys to understand, and not to take the wrong way, is that what I did right in my business, I can't say I did a lot right in the beginning. You learn as you go. And I was very, very shy before I signed up. I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I had social media, and I learned as I went. But one thing that I never did is I never treated it as just a challenge pack investment. I treated this like I was starting a business. So any free time that I had, and I was so excited that it was kind of easy to do, but any free time that I had to put into just learning and figuring out what I had to do, because I saw the potential. It was clear as day to me what I had to do and what was possible in this business. And I knew that if I just plugged in a little bit, did some of the training that was provided on the team, I would be able to build something pretty significant and not have to be that girl that was just so lost. Before I signed up as a coach, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I hadn't found a purpose. I just felt like I was floating. I didn't feel like I was contributing to anything for my family. I kind of just went through the motions every single day, and I was really, really tired doing that. And I actually remember one day just crying. I had a breakdown in my living room, because I was on a job search. I was looking for a job. I had just graduated from university in architecture. Of all things, I went from future architect to health coach. But, sometimes you just got to follow what's inside, and that's what it was for me. I didn't see myself drawing houses and plans for the rest of my life. So I just remember looking for a job, and I wasn't actually looking, if I'm being real, because I didn't want to do that. And I was in my living room and I fell asleep watching daytime TV. And I remember thinking, like, this is not my life. This is not what I was meant to do. And I just remember not only feeling like I wasn't helping out at all, like my husband was the one that was going to work from literally 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. exhausted. We joke now, but it's like a real thing. He used to have like this vein on the side of his head, and he'd have like the biggest bags under his eyes all the time. And I could just see him like deteriorating. And I really wanted to be able to take a little bit of that weight off of his shoulders. If, you know, that was just my first purpose. And I really knew that if I put my efforts into this thing, at least within 3 months, and I think Shannon shared my story in terms of my income growth, and I'm nothing special. There are people that have way outdone me, but it's just to show you what's possible. And I did. I put my head down and I got to work. And it's not, for me, what was really cool is it was never about the money. Like, that was really just a perk. I just felt like a sense of purpose. I felt very happy in what I was doing, and I finally felt like I had a clear path and a clear direction. And so we set a goal that kind of came about like so randomly. So about 6 months into the business, I started to make some money. You know, I was having like $500 weeks and $400 weeks. It was rolling, like stuff was happening. But again, like that was cool, but it was just a perk to feeling like I loved what I was doing. Like, I got an email a couple months in from a girl that had started with me, and she was doing her program. She was in my challenge group, and she said, you know, like, you're changing my life, just so you know, like, because of you, I can play with my kids. And I thought that is worth like way, I have goosies. That's worth way more than any amount of money that I could be being paid. And I was like, I want to do this instead. So I stopped pursuing the architecture career, and I stopped my other job that I had before that, and I went full into this. Was it a little bit early to go full time? Maybe, but I jumped in. And you know, when you know that saying, whenever you jump, the parachute will open, that very much happened. So I jumped, the parachute opened, I was soaring, I was happy. And then I asked my husband, because I was feeling all like baller and I thought we could do it. I said, are we going to Disney this year? Because I don't know if you guys know this, I'm a huge Disney fan. And we used to go to Disney every year. Like, we'd gone to Disney 3 years prior, and we always stayed at like the Value Hotel, so it was very doable. And that was our vacation, and we loved it. And that year he was just like, you know, babe, no. And he said, like, unless your coaching thing really, really works, no. And I was super crushed, because I felt like I was moving towards a direction. I really wanted to take that weight off of his shoulders. And I just thought, you know, okay, let's step this up, game on. And so that was in January of my first full year as a coach. So I had been a coach for about 6 months, and that was in January. And then my birthday is when we go in September, and we made it happen. And we didn't even stay at one of the Value hotels. We stayed, if you guys are familiar with the Disney hotels, we stayed at the Boardwalk Hotel. That's the one that my husband wanted to stay at. And I was like, thank you for choosing, literally, if you guys ever go look at the price list, the most expensive hotel almost that you can stay at Disney. I was like, okay. So food, plane, everything was paid for. And that feeling of like being there, and it's so special to me, because now we go back every year, and we don't have that problem anymore where we try and decide how we're going to figure this out. But there's a bench on the boardwalk, and if you guys ever go, you'll see it. There's like a photo booth, and it's very cool. It's like very vintagey. There's a photo booth, and there's like a little pizzeria and a bakery, and in front of the bakery there's a bench. And we sat on that bench, and it makes me emotional, because that was the day that I realized, like, this is a real thing. And whatever that investment was, and whatever time I had to put in my business, that's what it was providing, was these memories that we could go on trips and we could do things that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. And that this was a real thing, like, it was happening. Again, the goosies. So that was the moment, and I very much remember it. And we just looked at each other, and I think I said, I was like, we did it. Like, this, we did it. And we just kept growing from there. So a couple of years went by, and last year, so 3 years into the business, a similar situation happened, which very much crushed me. I felt like we did a 360. We were right back where we were. A 180 is a good one, where you're like, you completely change and things are rolling. We did a 360 last year, and I was like, I can't believe that we're back in this place. So it was January, and I said, are we going to Disney? And I really wanted to stay at the yacht club, because when you stay at the Boardwalk Hotel, a little bit of Disney knowledge for you guys. When you stay at the Boardwalk Hotel, you can see the Yacht Club Hotel, and it's so beautiful. And I just, I wanted to try staying at different places, and I said I really want to stay at the Yacht Club this year for my birthday. I'm very spoiled. We always travel for my birthday. And he said no. And I was like, how is that possible? Like, we could go 20 times this year if we wanted to. How is that possible? And he said, I don't have the time off. And that, I just thought and I was watching him go to work every single day while I was now staying here. We were just building this place. So we used to live in a condo. We built our dream home. I was moving in here. I was starting to work in my dream office, and I was watching him every single day. Like I said, getting up at 4:30, being out of the house by 5, sitting in traffic, doing his thing all day, not loving what he was doing, and then coming home drained and pulling in the driveway at 6 p.m. To do a workout and then go back to bed and do it all again the next day. So I watched that for a long time, and I felt for him. And for a long time, I built this business on my own, and he slowly started to, pay attention, and he took an interest into it because it's a very interesting business. And I just thought there had to be a way that we could get him out of there. That if we could do the same thing, that we take a jump and the parachute would open. And this is where I get really emotional, because it was one thing to not be able to pay for a vacation, boohoo, you want to go, but it was still cool to see that happen. But for him to come home on, I think it was mid-August, so Disney was coming up. If we were gonna go, we usually go on for September 3rd, which is my birthday, and I was like, we're not going. It's mid-August, and the guy still hasn't taken the time off. This is impossible, because he just had his company would just not let him take time off. He had his allotted time, and he went over, and they would give him a hard time anytime they took time off, which included business trips, which blew my mind. And he had been with the company for 15 years, so no sense of he just didn't feel special or valued. And he was watching me with coaching that was being treated like a queen after 2.5 years, and being recognized and sent gifts and being shouted out for what I was doing. And he just thought, this is ridiculous. I've been doing this for 15 years. So he asked for the time off. They said no earlier, and he came home, and we have a front balcony on our house. That was always a goal of mine. I want a front balcony, and I never really sat out there because we had just moved in. We had been in this house for 2 months, and I was sitting out there with our dog Carl, waiting for Andre to pull in at 6, and he comes in the house and comes to sit next to me. He's like, I think I have an idea. And he's like, what if I quit my job? And I was like, okay. I didn't even think that would be an option, but he's like, what if instead of asking for the time off again, what if I just quit? What if I just leave? And he was like, we could make that back. With me being home, we could make that back tenfold, what he was making as his income. So he's like, I'm going to help you in your business. We're going to do this full time. We're going to do coaching full time, both of us. Sorry that I'm emotional. And he's like, I'll leave. That's the solution. And I just felt such a weight had been lifted off, but it was really something that, like I said, it was very much jumping, because you're brought up your whole life to think you have to go to school and you have to work 9 to 5, and that's just how it is. And for me, that was very much my world. My parents were a little bit weirded out that I, took this route. Now they kind of see, and they're like, well, maybe that was the better choice. But it's hard, right? Because you're brought up in that world your whole life. And so to hop the fence and live a different type of life where, I'm sure our neighbors think that we are so weird. Andre and I are always home. We go to brunch, we're going to go to brunch in a little bit, and I know it's Saturday, but we usually go to brunch midday during the week. They must think who are these kids with a Porsche in the driveway? I hate saying that, but it's true. They must be what? I'm in the wrong freaking field. And I often wonder that, I'm glad that I took the choices and the path that I did, but I often wonder, what if I would have just listened to my parents, who were so, again, weirded out / disappointed in me? What if I would have just listened to them, and I would have, gone into a job that I didn't like and done the commute back and forth and just had that sense of unfulfillment? Because some people do. That's my worst fear, is that people go through life every single day hating to their core what they do. And, never living bigger than what they ever thought. And that's why I'm sharing the trips and stuff with you guys. And I hope that you never take it wrong, because that's not what fuels me at all. I'm in this for how I feel inside. And I think that the income and all the stuff that I've told you guys is really just a perk. Like it's cool to set a dream. Like I'm just looking at behind, I'll just close my computer windows, but the desktop on my computer is my dream board. And I have stuff on there that hasn't yet happened, but like, you know, I want to fly in a private jet one day. Like that's a really weird goal, but that's something that I just think is so cool. And Audrey and I want to own a home in Golden Oaks. So that's kind of our next step, is instead of traveling to Disney every year, we want to live. There's a neighborhood in Disney World that was just built called Golden Oaks, and we want to live there. $3 million plus home. That's our goal. So little things like that, that's really what pushes me. And I think that it's really cool to be able to dream a little bit bigger and not be so confined by society. And that's why I laugh, because I do feel like our neighbors must be like, who are these freaking kids? Like, I don't even understand what they do, because we're always home. Like, are they drug dealers? Like, I don't understand. That's Andre and I always joke. They must think that we're like into something crooked. But and we watch them, and I see him whenever I'll be sitting at my desk, and I can see my neighbors from where I'm sitting now, and I'll see him leave at like 7 to go to his 9 to 5, and he'll come back at 5, and then he does like his yard work and stuff. And I just think like, dude, there's a better way. Like, there really is. You don't have to live that way. And there really is another side to the fence, but sometimes it's just hard to see it because the way that we're brought up, it's the society that we live in. And I'm not trying to sound like a tinfoil head or anything, but that's really, I feel like it's so interesting that there's like a whole other side to this world, but it does take courage, and you do have to jump. And was it hard for me that May 31st, 4 years ago, to sign up? Yeah, I was terrified. But like I said, I figured I'm going to do my workouts. I know I'm signing up on a good team, and you guys are signing up on a good team. Like, Shannon and I work together. We have the best training. I would say we're in the top 10, in the 0.01% of success rate, which means not only are we successful, it means we bring on people that are successful and we help them be successful. So if that gives you any peace of mind, there's that. But that's what I kept reminding myself. I knew that if I worked hard and I knew that this was a real thing and I believed in it, then I would soar. Taking that first jump, though, was not easy. Was it worth it? Hell yeah. So I hope that I have answered some of your questions and maybe enlightened you a little bit. I'm pretty sure Shannon shared the graphic, and you know, I'm going to get you guys a fresh one. I'll try and get that done for you today, Shannon. So I shared like my progress in the business, like of how, because a lot of people want to know that, like, this is a business and it's important to know how much it's going to grow. And obviously it's different, you know, like it depends on each person's skill and effort and what they put into it in terms of time and commitment and passion and energy and all of that stuff. So it really does depend on the person. You could outdo me. But for me, just the consistent, you know, and like I said, I was super shy, but the consistent effort every single day really added up. So I want to share with you guys what that looks like over a 4-year span. And I think the one that I have currently made is from last September. So that has definitely grown, right? So I can try and get that done today and share that with you guys. I am actually packing right now like a mad woman. Andre and I, my husband, are going to Italy. It was funny. I was just talking about being stressed for travel. We're going to Italy tomorrow. Oh my God, tomorrow. For the top 10 elite adventure, which is kind of crazy. So that was something that was awarded to us for hitting the top 10 of the business, and we are going to be wined and dined there, flying us there, first friggin' class. I've never experienced that before in my life. So we're going to do that, and it is going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited. I don't know what to think about it. I also cannot even believe that I'm here. So that's what I am going to go do now, and I will try and get that income growth to you guys before the end of the day, in between packing and all of the chaos. So hopefully I answered some of your questions. I will stay in this group and I will answer them in the comments if you guys do have questions or you're listening to the recording later. Hopefully this was helpful. You guys are friggin' awesome. I love you, Shannon. Bye, dudes.